19, once it past 20, I'll get started. Okay, 20. Well, hello, everyone. Well, thank you all for participating in this province-wide round. And I know everybody's busy is closing to the, getting closer to the holiday period, and your participation is greatly appreciated. Today we have the privilege to have Dr. Cheryl Wellington to present us about research strategies of the department. Dr. Wellington actually is a professor and vice chair of research in our department, UBC Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine. She runs a transdisciplinary translational research program in neurology that spans fundamental and clinical studies, focusing on Alzheimer's diseases, traumatic brain injury, and blood biomarkers. She also participated in many other studies of brain injury, including after cardiac arrest, stroke, violence, and many others. Dr. Wellington is the first in Canada to operationalize infrastructure to measure brain-derived analysis in blood. And in 7 years, she has built a highly interdisciplinary clinical research network to develop blood tests for multiple neurological disorders, including hypoxic ischemic brain injury, spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, multiple sclerosis, neurodegenerative disorders, and dementia. Dr. Wellington has over 165 peer-reviewed publications and in high-impact journals, and she has her impact of her publications is reflecting the high HI index of 58 and over 13,000 citations. Dr. Wellington has trained over 84 highly qualified personnel and holds a seamless tracking record of extramural funding that includes salary from CHR, infrastructure 2 CFI fund awards, and operating grants of over $59.4 million from multiple national and international organizations. She was recognized by UBC as a Distinguished Achievement Award in 2022. Dr. Wellington's impact is a key opinion leader as demonstrated by invitations to chair over 20 national and international conferences and deliver 10 keynote and over 200 invited international and national presentations. In the past year, Dr. Wellington led a team of research scientists and stakeholders and developed a 5-year strategy and plans for our department to take our research enterprise to the next level. And over to Dr. Wellington for her presentation. Please go ahead, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gao, for that very, very, very kind introduction. I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to be here to present today sort of the first year in review of my role as Vice Chair of Research for the department. What I'd like to do today is share some of the progress that we've made, where we are now, and discuss how we arrived at our strategic initiatives and some of the immediate action items that are coming from that process. I think it's a very exciting time for the department, and I really look forward to what the next several years will bring. I do want to start off by acknowledging that our departmental home is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and I am honored to be able to live, work, and play in this area. When I took on the role of Vice Chair of Research, really what I wanted to bring to the table was a process by which our department could really reach its full potential across the research care continuum. When I began, the 2021 rankings were out, and this is for the departments of pathologies and worldwide rankings. UBC was number 2, 22 in North America and 25 in the world for pathology. The 2023 rankings are out there, and we still are number 2 in Canada, so we've maintained our position. I would like to increase the global impact of the research that we are doing here, and I really am doing this in the context of many people within the department, and we'd like to just showcase where we are now. So we've got lots to celebrate in this last year. This is a snapshot of where of the departmental structure at this point. As I said before, we're ranked 25 globally and number 2 in Canada. We have 177 academic faculty and 288 clinical faculty, supported by 178 research staff, and we train 148 students. With respect to the research enterprise, our department really has a stellar track record. There are already 6 fellows of the Royal Society of Canada, 5 fellows of the Canadian Academy of Health Sciences, 6 Canada Research Chairs. We have over 500 grants over the past several years, totaling around close to $33 million, and 814 peer review papers. And I will show you the 2023 stats as well. We have a global outreach, and this is something that as pathology and lab medicine and the diseases that we are all trying to solve have global impact, ways in which we can increase international collaboration and access international funding opportunities is a priority going forward. In this year, we've had many new hires to our department. So we have clinical instructors, clinical assistant professors, clinical associate professors, academic faculty, assistant professors, visiting faculty, adjunct professors, and sessional lecturers. In the interest of time, I won't read out everybody's name, but I do want to welcome the new faculty to the department. And please do reach out with any questions you might have about research, getting involved in research, participating in research. We do have a lots to celebrate. There are particularly impressive accomplishments that I would like to highlight for this year. So Dr. Kizakadathu published a very high impact paper in Nature Communication on novel treatment for preventing blood clots. Dr. David Schaefer was appointed as the inaugural pancreatic cancer research chair at Vancouver General Hospital. Dr. Morshed took on a role as the pathology and laboratory medicine representative on the Faculty of Medicine's Clinical Faculty Advisory Committee. And Dr. Gao took on a new position in June as the program medical director for provincial pathology and laboratory medicine. We also have had lots of promotions to celebrate within our faculty. So within the academic stream, Dr. Kevin Benowith was promoted to full professor, and Dr. Philip Lang was promoted to associate professor, and many promotions within the clinical stream. So Christine Tyson, Wei Zhang, Weimin Yang, Mari DeMarco, Karina Rodriguez Capote, Pedro Squaria Farina were promoted to clinical professor. And Dr. Mazio Riazi, Audi Satyadi, Nancy Matek, Lisa Lee, Majid Motabad, and Lik Yang Li were promoted to clinical associate professor, and Claudine Desirow, Carlos Villamil, Daniel Owen, Kristen Houff, Tara-Lee Burton, and Yunus El-Khalidi, apologies, to promoted to clinical assistant professor. So again, we really celebrate these appointments and these promotions, and do please reach out with if there's any opportunity to help advance your research questions and support your research ambitions. We have many awards to celebrate this year. Dr. David Huntsman is like it's almost like every week goes by with another accolade to him. Several external awards were received this year in 2023. We have many people to celebrate who received Faculty of Medicine internal awards. And I just in the interest of time, I won't read these out. We have departmental award winners. Some of these are not research specific, but I do want to highlight the incredible work that our department is already doing. And trainee awards were recognized as well for the research accomplishments of our trainees. So we celebrate those trainees incredibly well. We've got awards to resident staff awards and residents awards presented on behalf of the BLMSC students. So we have a very, very active department with a lot of accomplishments in 2023. Within the past year, I did a quick PubMed search, and thus far, on that database, members of our department have produced about 430 publications in 2023. So congratulations to everyone that is getting the output of your research out there in the public domain. This year for sure, there has been the process and timeline required to get things from submission to full acceptance and release is lengthening quite a bit. So it's really a great accomplishment to have so many papers come out from our department. And I want to give a special note of thanks to Dr. David Huntsman for establishing these departmental rounds, which are an amazing forum for our department to get together and share highlights across research and other initiatives. In last year, in 2023, we had 3 research presentations from Dr. Honglin Lo, Kevin Kuczynski, and Lai Vu. And so these are much appreciated, and we really look forward to next year. I want to make sure that especially our new hires who are interested in research, we want to be able to have you introduce yourself and your research program to the department. So if you want to have a slot to present, please contact David Huntsman or Sneha Daggar if you would like to be placed onto the speakers list, so that we can learn about your program and we can be best able to support you in making the connections and getting well versed in the traditions of getting research funding and getting research done and published. I do want to make a special note of congratulations to Dr. Corey Lowley and Cheryl Wellington for their work in launching the Seed to STEM summer research program for Indigenous youth. This is a remarkable achievement and something the department is incredibly proud of. It began in 2018 when Corey and Cheryl started the first summer research program at ICORDS. This is the International Collaboration on Repair Discoveries that does a lot of work on spinal cord injury and multiple sclerosis. And this was for Indigenous high school students. The program offers 6-week paid placements, as well as support these students with transit passes and loaner laptops so that the barriers to participate in research are lowered. And starting from the program with 1 student in 2018, we now have 17 students that participated in 2023. The program has also established partnerships with the UBC School of Biomedical Engineering. We've expanded to UBC Okanagan, and in 2024, there will be a new partnership with the Gynecologic Cancer Initiative to extend the program. And graduates, alumni from this program who are in undergraduate and pursuing post-secondary studies are invited to return for another 4-month placements where they have more opportunity to participate in research as well as become mentored in research. This has been such a success, Corey, and the whole department is just incredibly proud of what you've been able to do. And these are some of the photographs of the participants and their involvement in research at ICORD, celebrating all that they have done and learned. So we really look forward to seeing this program expand and grow in the future. So coming back to where we want to go, our first goal in my first year of as this role of vice chair of research was to develop the strategic plan for research. So this was a huge undertaking. This took the better part of a year. And we had a research lead group who met 5 times, at least formally, between May 2022 and February 2023 to work on the strategic plan. This was a big task for everyone, and I'm incredibly grateful for the participation, the creativity, the leadership within this group to come forward, put a lot of ideas on the table, and then shape them into what is our strategic plan for the research portfolio. So within this pillar, the research portfolio wants to, what we want to do is create, translate, and implement knowledge across the research continuum that promotes improved individual and population health. How this is going to occur is that the clinical need, the unmet clinical needs that are defined by the community, by stakeholders, by patients, and by industry will be defined, and we will then be able to translate this clinical need into research questions. So this will include aspects of how we do a better job of designing studies, how we leverage big data, and how we leverage the data analytics capacity that we would also like to build within the department to be able to have the highest quality, most robust research designs that have a clear objective toward understanding and creating knowledge on the gaps that are in unmet needs at this point. We would like to really focus a lot of effort this year on biobanks, developing biomarkers for a number of different disease indications. Currently, a lot of the biobanking and investigation occurs in small groups and small clusters or even silos. And we do believe that based on the successes of programs like the UK Biobank, that we could really accelerate our departmental and our national and international standing if we put some focused effort into reducing barriers for access to and working with high quality biobanks across disease indications that our department works on. We'd also like to make sure that we can find the resources that we need. Who has the specimens? Who has the core analytical platforms? And who has the expertise required to perform assays and interrogate those questions? So we'll also be working on building an asset map within our department that hopefully can be updated at a regular basis. And by doing these in an integrated and intentional manner, we hope to create a mechanism for the department that really facilitates the highest quality research to then put the answers back into meeting those clinical unmet needs. And of course, this will all be done with community and stakeholder engagement and involvement. The priorities that we have identified to be addressed over the next 5 years are to strengthen clinically relevant research capacity and capability and build connections between clinical research and fundamental science. This was seen as one of the top priorities of the research lead group. We definitely want to improve our capacity in data analytics by strengthening access to and building the ability to use patient data. You heard last week from Dr. Hélène Côté the initiatives to provide students with more training on data analytics. We are going to be considering ways in which we can equip faculty with access to short courses or refreshers or upgrading data analytics capacity and abilities. We also want to create cross-discipline learning opportunities and research opportunities through seed grads and structured mentorship on how to build funding for research programs, and I'll go into this in a lot more detail. We want to continue to recognize and disseminate programs, especially focusing on clinical practice research this year through rounds, newsletters, etc. So we want to really build those connections between the fundamental and the basic, or the clinical and the basic. We'd like to extend the ability for our departmental members to conduct research across sites and beyond just the Lower Mainland, and really involve and celebrate the clinical practice research because these are the real world settings that whatever discoveries are made need to be workable in. So there's lots of opportunity for us to make great strides over the next few years. In order to do this, another priority is to strategically strengthen the resources required for world-class research. So biobanks and reducing the barriers to access and use biobanks effectively is a very high priority for the research lead group. And one of the ideas would be, can we develop a blueprint? How do we take a test case or a test cohort or a test question through such a process? And can we, in that exercise, be able to identify what are some of the obstacles or barriers that might be able to be reduced so that we can make progress faster? So this is something that the research lead group will continue to work on over the next year. So the priority actions are really summarized here, and I won't read them in great detail. But again, biobanks, diagnostics, interdisciplinarity in terms of access to specimens and understanding how they can be used for research and better health is a priority. We would like to create new course content and microcertificates to increase data literacy, and this is student as well as faculty. Create a seed grant program to facilitate new interdisciplinary collaborations across career stage. And this is the next thing that I will talk about. And that is hand in hand with a structured mentorship program to be able to coach people that are new to research to create the best applications for grant success. We'd like to work with UBC and CREB to develop standardized ways in which we can create and maintain biobanks, develop training options on specimen handling, quality, and have this again be supported with a microcertificate, have a master living inventory of departmental biobanks, be able to facilitate streamlined ethics procedures so that we do not spend a lot of time just on writing the protocols, and creating a living asset map so that we can identify and quickly put maybe holders of specimens together with somebody who has a new technique, for example, to investigate and create new research opportunities. Other priorities within the next 3 years are to encourage and showcase clinical practice research and become very intentional about retiring clinician scientists. Extending beyond 3 years will be to consider other mechanisms to strengthen data analytics and data literacy across the department. This is a big challenge. We had lots of discussion with this within the research lead group, and I think that there's quite a few things that we can tackle beginning in next year. We'd like to have some sort of blueprint idea in which we could have a consortia-based approach to incentivize people that have biospecimens and banks to work together. And then, as I mentioned before, to maybe have some test project, a blueprint, a pilot program on looking at the value of intersectional biomarkers in longitudinal studies. So there are several options for how we're going to be doing this and having some strategic efforts over the next year. We're going to be measuring our success by coming back to the impact factors of our department. So those will include the type and number of new research projects that are approved, the success of those projects in producing outputs that can be implemented or proceed along the implementation pathway. And we also want to be looking at the advancement and success of the cross-disciplinary teams. How are people working together? Are we able to meet the increasing demands of funding agencies for having meaningful engagement with communities, stakeholders, and patient advocates and persons with lived experience? We will be also measuring the department's contribution to strengthening quality of care in BC by looking at clinical trial enrollments, sharing quality improvement guidelines, and engagement of patients and patient partners. We'll be looking at measures related to enhanced clinical faculty and other community engagement. We welcome clinical faculty to participate in research. And very soon I'll describe one of the mechanisms that we will start to put in place in 2024 to help this. We want to increase funding opportunities to support researchers and research that benefits marginalized and underrepresented groups. And again, we have some ideas about how we'd like to start in this area and perhaps continue to expand the access to funding that we all need to conduct research. So one of the things that I was very curious about when I started the role of vice chair of research last year was really looking at, well, how well are we doing? As a person that writes a lot of grants myself, how was I doing? How are other people in the department doing? Are there disparities in the success of ability or success of faculty to be able to win grants across the department, and how can these be addressed? And I know many of us who spend a lot of time writing grants are have some concerns about, are we spending too much of our time writing grants as opposed to actually just getting the research done? Can we get data on these aspects? Can these be used to help support more effective advocacy for increased research funding, not only from Canada, but from international funding bodies, if Canada has unique cohorts, unique ways and unique methods that can be applied in research. So I really want to give a huge note of thanks and shout out to Sneha. Over the past several months, I've been working with her to develop what we're calling a dashboard that looks at sort of the activities, the metrics of our departmental members. It is just starting to be at the place where we can start to look at it and ask some questions. So I would like to invite members of the department to link to this dashboard, have a look at it, and then give us some feedback on how it can be improved and used to answer some questions about how our department is doing in the research enterprise. So I will give you a very, very early stage first look at some of the research questions. So this is an example of a screenshot of the dashboard. The way that this dashboard was created was to take data from the UBC Office of Research Services that goes back 10 years. So the Office of Research Services not only has a list of all the grants that have been successfully awarded to UBC, but it also opens a file for every grant that is submitted. So this gives us an opportunity to gauge how we are doing, what are our success rates within the department. And this has been a very interesting exercise to go through as one of the first questions that we're addressing. So this is just the sort of cover page of the dashboard, and there are lots of ways to customize this, but this gives an idea of how many grant applications are being submitted by our department levels year by year, and it's holding fairly steady. I mean, we're a little bit higher than we were a decade ago, but it's not like we're creating like huge numbers of applications. I'm going to go through the success by gender in the next few slides. But I do want to also highlight that most of our grants are coming from Canadian organizations. And if you look down here, CIHR is the major funder for our department, followed closely by various foundations and research institutes. Other governmental levels are much lower. And then you can see here other funding bodies that have small numbers of funding. To me, one of the things that is immediately obvious here is that I think we can do a better job of being strategic about, can we also be putting our hat in the ring for non-Canadian international funding objectives? As Canadians, we are actually eligible to apply for NIH funding, and there are ways in which we need to reach a certain bar to have foreign led grants or foreign involvement in American-led grants. But there's a lot of money in NIH, and given this snapshot, I think there's some missed opportunities to extend our collaborative reach, just perhaps starting with the United States and moving on. This graph here is also very informative. This lists that over the past 10 years, the number of blue, in the blue, the grants that a particular investigator applied for, and the number of grants they were received over 4 years as reflected in the ORS database. So you can see here that there are quite a few people, David Huntsman, myself, Paul Sorensen, Marcel Bally, are writing a lot of grants, and if you look at our success rates, the sort of top 10 or so people that write the most volume of grants, the success ranges from about 20 to 40% overall. So we're just beginning to start to dive into this data. We have a lot yet to do, but overall, our success rate for the department over the last 10 years is around 22% of grants that are submitted are funded. So that's actually pretty good. Over the last 10 years, we've received 250 million in competitive grant funding. In 2023, 37 new grants have been awarded, at least the ones that come through the ORS, and these are valued at $10.5 million so far. CIHR and foundations are the largest sources of funding, and I think we can expand from there. And again, success rates from people that are really well established and do this day in and day out are about 20 to 40%. So that's very interesting. I want to go now and talk a little bit the funding by gender. So I'm going to walk you through these statistics. So this graph breaks down the percentage of female in blue, male in orange, academic faculty members. So of our academic faculty members, the vast majority are male. So we can do a better job. And this is over the last 10 years. So I think we'd like to aim to close that gender gap in the academic stream. We're doing better in the clinical stream where it's much more balanced. So 56% of the faculty members are male and 44% of clinical faculty are female. And we're defining as faculty here those who are eligible to hold an external research grant. So when you look at the UBC definition of faculty, research associates, et cetera, are included as faculty. But for these purposes, I wanted to look only at faculty who could hold an external research grant should they wish to undertake research. This graph shows the total grant applications by the various streams broken down by gender. So what you'll see here is that the proportion of grants that are applied for tend to match the gender ratio of the faculty. So this means that we're not being disproportionate really in who is submitting grant. So within the faculty, within the academic stream, about 85% of the grants that were submitted over the last 10 years were from males and 15% were female. So it's more or less, it's pretty good, it pretty well matches, and the same thing for the clinical stream. And of those that are submitted, so 35% of the grant applications submitted by academic faculty over the last 10 years for females, 35% of them were successful. 33% were successful for male. So this means that even though we have more men and women in the academic stream are submitting the same proportion of grants, and they're being awarded grants at a very similar proportion. So there's no disparity there. I know that there's been a lot of attention paid by CIHR in making sure that there are not biases against female or grant proposals written by women. Here on the clinical side is where we might want to spend a little bit more attention. So basically, even though the clinical research grants were about 50-50 for those that were applied for, there is still a little bit of a bias toward the awards coming more to men than to women in the clinical stream. So these are just beginning to start looking at the actual data on our success within our faculty, and there's a long way to go on other questions that we can do. I would really like anybody on the department to get in there, get a copy of the dashboard, play around with it, and give me some feedback. So I will call out for if there's a small user group that wants to have input on this. I think there's also some opportunity for how do we capture grants that might not go through ORS? How do we integrate those data into this database? I'd also like this database to be able to capture research outputs in terms of publications, patents, et cetera. And then I think we can do a better time on floor analysis for how our research faculty are spending their time. Is it effective enough? And can we use these data to have better ways of working with the UBC Faculty of Development Office and Hospital Foundations to learn more and communicate to potential donors about how much time and effort we actually spend on trying to fund the research. Can we use these data to have more effective calls for increased federal funding? And can we improve our success rates and make sure that they are balanced across not only gender, but other axes by creating mentorship and seed grant opportunities for the department? So with that goal, I'm just going to jump right into this because it will be starting in January, and I'm really, really excited about sharing this new program that we will run as a pilot study this year, and hopefully continue. So the goal is to develop a sustainable seed grant program for the department so that small grants, a year of duration, can be awarded to really new, innovative ideas, support young investigators, early career investigators, and investigators who might be new to the research process to be able to generate preliminary data that is needed in many cases for success at a major program. So we're calling this the Pathology Grant Application Practicum, or PGAP. This workshop will run for 4 months, every 2 weeks, and it is meant to provide practicum participants with information and experience in all aspects of preparing and evaluating competitive research grant proposals. So in the coming year, we will offer 2 one-year seed grants of $15,000 that will be competitively awarded and reviewed through this program. So the program is open to all trainees, so graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, residents, as well as new and early career faculty and established faculty who might be in the clinical stream, but who want to dip their toes in the research process. We welcome everybody. It will be a hybrid format so that we're able to include those who are not necessarily within the Lower Mainland. The sessions will be held Fridays from 9 to 11 a.m. At UBC Hospital. The sessions will be recorded, but I think part of this is the interactive capacity. Right now we have 11 registrants, but it's still going to be open, and I welcome people to sign up. We can fit about, I think, 40 some odd people in the room, but we should have people online. So I'm going to try to maybe give it a cap of 50 for this round. The link is here, and please contact either me or Sneha for if you do want to sign up. So the way this works, it was built on a very similar workshop that I developed for the Javad Moafagian Center for Brain Health when it opened in 2014, so a decade ago. And basically what we found, we had 38 applicants that participated in this program. And it ended up being that a lot of the more junior students, so basically you sign up for the program, and then there's a certain point within the program, you have to decide if you're going to write a competitive grant proposal or if you're going to be serving in some form as a reviewer or a part of the grant review panel. So you could choose which role would have most use to yourself. And it turned out really, really well. These are some of the comments and feedback from this previous iteration of this that was really focused on neurosciences and neurological research. The trainees felt that it had been the most valuable training experience that they've had. The new faculty said this is real money, so it made it real and made them think about the feasibility of their proposal. They appreciated the competitive aspect of this. It was a real incentive to put your best foot forward. It was more than just an exercise. We were very fortunate in 2014 to have 38 participants, which really made it good for this was meant to be a collaborative grant. So anybody who wanted to found a collaborator to create their proposal for. And I had some nice feedback on just some of the philosophies of how to build the thick skin one needs in the research enterprise. So I'm hoping that we have great participation in the upcoming PGAP program. So please do reach out, contact me or Sneha or register. I look forward to beginning the program in January. And by the time we have Path Day next spring, we'll be able to announce the winners of these new seed grants for the department. And also gain your feedback. How can we improve the program for next year? How might we either increase the size or the number or both of the seed grants that we're able to offer? And are we being effective in bridging clinical and fundamental grant proposals within our department, or creating more representation of research across the nodes and geographical sites of our faculty members? So, looking ahead to next year, one of the major goals coming back to the strategic plan is really focusing on biobanks. So we would like to work with several departmental members to create a standardized approach to create and maintain high quality biobanks where there are very good processes to request specimens and monitor who is doing what. Develop training programs, including a micro certificate on specimens handling and storage. Really creating a better way to connect somebody who has a research question with who might hold specimens or could be involved in recruiting for such specimens by having a master living inventory of departmental biobanks. I will be working with the UBC Clinical Research Ethics Board to help continue streamlining the processes by which access to biobanks, building biobanks, and doing research on de-identified biospecimens can be streamlined. And also understanding within our department who has what sorts of analytical platforms and expertise. Can we do more core facility work so that people can accelerate their ability to do research using cutting edge technologies without necessarily having to reinvent the wheel or build that capacity in their own laboratories. So I will be reaching out to members of the department for a biobank working group. Please connect with me if you would like to be on this, because I will definitely need help and representation and people that have experience with different types of specimens and banks. The other things that we're doing already within the department are trying to see, are there even small ways that we can reduce costs of doing research. One of the things that's pretty exciting for those of you who use BioRender, which is a really amazing graphics program used very highly in the fundamental sciences. We are already discussing with BioRender a way to increase a group license. So Life Sciences Institute at UBC has a group license, and many members of the department are now able to jump onto that LSI license. I know that BioRender is also talking to BC Cancer about can they have a site license there as well. So for those of you who have students or postdocs or other members of your laboratory who use BioRender, the LSI experience says they've been able to save 80 to 90% of their costs of individual licenses by going to a group model. So this is something, again, I'm happy to facilitate if anybody's interested in this. We'd like to continue to encourage and showcase clinical practice research, especially at rounds. To be working with the departmental executive to create an intentional and mindful approach for faculty renewal. We have many absolutely esteemed faculty members who are anticipated to retire within the next 10 to 15 years. Given the challenges of creating new research positions with the funding needed for such positions, we'd like to find a way that we can make sure that the legacies that people have put in place are maintained and grown, and give opportunities for new members to really build and expand with new ideas what they would like to do. And then coming back to the data analytics and data literacy elements for our departmental members. What are the best ways in which we can support not only our trainees, but our faculty to be able to use big data more effectively? And so these are still open questions. I welcome any input and feedback on how we might be able to accomplish these goals. So just to know that I'm here for you. This is a position that I hold with great respect and honor to have this opportunity to serve the departmental members. So please reach out with any questions, comments, feedback on the goals that we have. If you have interest in participating in some of the small groups that I'll be needing over the next year, please do reach out to me. So with that, I will stop and take any questions or comments or feedback. And thank you again for your attention today.
Well, thank you, Cheryl, for your excellent presentation as always. First, I want to thank your strong leadership for this research domain of the department, and joining you to thank everybody who contributed in developing the strategic plan for the next 5 years. Your presentation, actually, every time you present something, I learn. So your presentation is full of data and full of down to earth and with the specifics and what they're going to do and what they're going to deliver, what they expect to deliver. That's excellent. So next year, this time we'll report back to the community that what we have actually accomplished. Actually to hold ourselves accountable and to make sure that we do what we promised to do. Just one comment in terms of the ranking of national and international ranking. So we are number 2 in Canada, and Toronto is number 1. Toronto, the department is called Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine. So they basically, my understanding was merged pathology with the biology department. So they have 77 full-time research scientists with research labs. And we have 50 or 55, somewhere around there. So the capacity that limits our capability of really, become number 1 or in the competing capacity. Yeah. So maybe the group can provide feedbacks. How do we find a way, not merging with other departments, and find a way to increase our research capacity? Might be a good discussion as well. Thank you. Any other comments or questions to Cheryl?
Well, thank you, Dr. Gao, for, oh, yes, Suzanne, go ahead.
Hi, Cheryl, that was great. Thank you so much. Is there any appetite for UBC pathology to dabble into the databases for biobanks, that there will be consistency, or does every biobank have to have their own database?
The ability, so how should I put this? That databases that don't talk to each other is a big barrier. That was identified as one of the barriers in the research lead group. So yes, Suzanne, you're definitely on my wish list to speak to in depth about how can we create databases that are easily connectable and that work well with one another.
Yeah, and the other thing is the privacy impact assessment. It's always a lot of work, and if everybody does it individually, it would be great if there was a master or something like that for that.
Absolutely. I mean, I look at things like the UK Biobank as a great example of how things have been, really well coordinated, and the amount of research that those systems can offer are just exceptional. We do have some, large initiatives within BC, but I don't know how many members of the department actually use them, yet, and can we be more effective at that? So I think if we can solve a lot of those and create mechanisms where people know about them and can access them easily, this will be a very, very big boost for our product.
And also the redundancy. If the redundancy can be kind of everybody doing the same thing over and over again. And I just have something to say about Corey Law's program. I attended the EDI committee meeting on Monday for the Department of Medicine, or Faculty of Medicine, and they are planning to do something not similar, but for marginalized students for 1 week. They don't pay them, so it's not as robust as Corey's program, but there may be an opportunity for some people to be a mentor for a week if they would like to It's mostly shadowing, I assume, for a week, but they're hoping to get marginalized students, to have them mentors and tour them around in their environment. But more to come about that.
Cool, that's super awesome. And that's a good segue into something really great that I wanted to take a moment just to announce, because an hour ago, Cheryl Nymonth and I got an email from the Faculty of Medicine Strategic Investment Fund, and we found out that we got funded this round to help expand the program wider across Faculty of Medicine. So we're so pleased. We've been trying for like years to get funding for the program, and now we actually finally have some funding to be able to expand this to other departments across Faculty of Medicine. So stay tuned for more good things in 2024.
That's excellent, Corey. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Corey.
Yeah, we're so pleased. Thank you.
Tyler, go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have a question. I just more wanted to commend, I think, yours and Gao's efforts and David's to kind of really try to kind of look at because I think with UBC, it's always been a challenge to get everybody kind of under the same umbrella and kind of rowing in the same direction. And I think it's really good, the efforts that you guys have made. And I think if we continue down this path, it'll lead to good things. But it takes that kind of initiative to kind of really like look at the whole forest and everything to try to like say, okay, what makes sense for us as a department to do? So just keep up the good work. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks so much, Tyler. I really appreciate those kind comments. And of course, nothing could be done without amazing people to work with who are stimulating and supportive and fun, and really has their eye on the ball. So I can come up with a lot of ideas, but there's a lot of people who are really helping to shape them and make them possible. David?
Yeah, thank you for the amazing presentation. I hadn't realized how much any sort of successes I've had have been due to my ability to absorb failure and keep going. Because I seem to be the gold medalist for grant rejection. But I want to thank you for commenting or mentioning the citywide pathology rounds. And so, as you know, this is a multi-element platform which includes departmental business, such as today's presentation, the incredibly valuable and mandated PAL sessions, clinical talks, and also research-focused talks. And we're really trying to sort of mix it up and bring in new pieces, such as presentations by postdoctoral fellows and junior faculty members to better connect them with the department, and presentations highlighting specific publications of major sort of general interest which are coming out. But if you do have any ideas, not just on speakers, but the sorts of things which could enrich this weekly interaction we have, please pass them through myself or any other member of the committee, and because we'd love to hear from you. So thank you.
Thanks so much, David. The rounds have become, the highlight of Fridays. So thank you for that initiative to put this on. Are there any other questions or comments? Well, hearing none, let me wish everybody a very happy holiday season, and we really look forward to 2024, making it the best research year ever for our department. So really thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.